Thank you for joining us for the information regarding the upcoming Church Street closure. This is the water main replacement project that is scheduled to begin the week of October 17th. It's important to note that with this closure, this project is being done by the Hempfield Water Authority, and it's expected to take about 5 to 6 weeks. Now, we know that the closure will take place on Church Street at the intersection of Main and Church, all the way up towards Moomaw Drive. And so you will be able to see that right here on this map with the red line. That is the extent of the closure. This will have an impact on our district, but it will also have an impact on Church Street from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday to Friday. As a district, we've been collaborating with East Hempfield Township when we were made aware of this project, talking through what the implications for the district, talking through communication, making sure we're understanding the full scope of the project and how to relay information to you as our community to make sure you know how to access our campus when Church Street is closed. So that's the purpose of this presentation, is to make sure that our community does understand how to access the campus when Church Street is closed, given that Church Street is a major thoroughfare to get to our campus. So PennDOT has established a detour for the general public. And again, there will be some district-wide impact as a result of this. From a district-wide impact standpoint, we are making sure that everyone is aware of the general public detour. And that general public detour will be directing everyone away from Church Street and instead going towards Stony Battery Road to either Stony Battery and Kaufman, Stony Battery and Stanley, or Main Street to Bank. And so there are multiple options for this detour to avoid the closure of Church Street. This is the general public detour. So again, no matter if you're coming from the north, east, south, or west, there are still ways to get to our campus. For our students and staff, it's important to note that all students and staff are being directed to follow the general detour. However, we also know that with more cars getting on the Stony Battery to get towards Kaufman, that could impact some delays. So we have worked through this project, making sure that our staff and students have access to still get to our campus. The same general detour applies. So if you're coming from the north, you can come from Stony Battery to Stanley. From Main Street, from the east, you'll go Main Street to Bank, which is not shown on this map. But the south or the west, you're coming Stony Battery to Kaufman, or from the west, you're coming from Main Street to Bank. But our staff and student drivers can also travel on Church Street down to Moomaw Drive, and you'll see that here with the red highlights going along the green line here, down Church, making a left on Moomaw, and onto Moomaw and up towards the campus. And then once you're on the campus, you can continue to your parking space. That's for access for staff and student drivers during the school day. It is important to note that if our staff and students are driving on Church Street, particularly during the closure time of the 6 a.m. to 5 p.m., while you will not be in the direct way of any of the Water Authority project occurring, you should have your staff and student IDs on you, as well as if you have a parking permit on the high school campus, that should be on your car as well. That will alert any emergency responders if they're on the road during that closure period to know that you have permission to be there, because this is an approved route for our students and staff. At the end of the day, from a dismissal standpoint, same thing, our students and staff, if you're heading west, you'll go Kaufman to Stony Battery or Stanley to Stony Battery. If you're heading north or east, you would head from Stanley to Banks and then to Main Street. But if you're heading south, you may also go from Kaufman to Moomaw to Church. And we are actually recommending that our staff and students travel. If you don't need to go Kaufman to Stony Battery and you have another way, please go Kaufman to Moomaw and take Moomaw down and around and then make a right on Church Street. Again, going on to Church Street, you will have your staff student IDs as well as parking permits if you have those, if you're part of the high school. For our buses, we've worked out in this project, it's important to note that this is really going to be an impact to make sure that our buses get through our campus quickly so that there is a normal pickup time at our elementary schools. So our buses, when they leave the high school, they will be heading north towards Stanley. They will make a right on Stanley and then come down Bank Street. And they're actually going to come between the high school and our administrative building down to Coffin Road and then to Moomaw for those that need to head south or west. It is important to note that any staff member who is parked on the Franklin gym side parking lot or just north of the baseball field during the hours of 2:30 to 3:10, this area will be closed from an exit standpoint, and we are asking that you travel one way from the upper lot of the Franklin down towards the Buchanan gym side and then head out towards Kaufman. We're asking this because during our dismissal time, all buses will be traveling down Bank and in between the administrative building and our high school. And so we do not want any cars who would be leaving, making a left, trying to turn in front of our buses. For our parents and guardians traveling to the campus, it is important to note that, again, the general detour, Stony Battery to Kaufman or Stony Battery to Stanley or north to Bank. But we do have permission for anyone dropping off at the high school, our high school preschool program, or LMS, to also travel Church Street to Mumau if that is needed. Again, this is approval only during the drop-off and pickup times of the day. All other times, we're asking individuals to follow the general detour who are coming to our campus. For any parent or guardian who might be picking up their child at the end of the day at the front of our high school at the Franklin entrance, you would be coming off of Stanley, pulling into the front of the school, picking up. We are going to be directing all cars out of that parking lot to make a left on Bank, and then you will either head north on Bank to Main or make a left onto Stanley to head towards Stony Battery Road. We are not going to be permitting cars coming out of that lot to make a right. And the reason for that is because at the end of the day, our buses are going to be traveling down Bank and then in between our administrative building and the high school. Also, please note at the end of the day, if our buses have started dismissing, we are going to hold all cars who are in this front loop. We're going to stop them so that our buses can make one continuous loop around the high school in order to get to dropping off their students in a more quicker fashion. Once the buses have moved, we will then allow cars to make that left turn to head up towards Bank or Stanley Road. For parent or guardians picking up at LPC, LIC, again, during drop-off and pickup times only, the normal general detour, Stony Battery to Kaufman works, or you can also use Church Street. Again, this is only for drop-off and pickup times. It is important to note that there is going to be no change with regards to the LPC and LIC arrivals for car riders, meaning that anyone dropping off or picking up at LPC will do the normal stacking that they do north of the building and then coming up to do the pickup. And then for LIC, we'll continue with the normal process where you're coming in on Mumau and making a right turn only for the car riders. If you have more questions regarding LPC, LIC, you can certainly reach out to our school principals. It's important to note for everyone who is going to be traveling around our campus, whether you're walking, biking, jogging, or driving, we're going to have extra cars on our campus. We are aware that individuals may not always follow the general detour and may try to think that they know a quicker way to get somewhere. But we are asking people to follow the general detour. But if you are walking, biking, or driving, please be extra vigilant, making sure that at crosswalks you are stopping, looking for traffic, and that we are asking anyone driving around campus to please make sure you are adhering to all the signs, speed limit signs, stop signs, etc. It is important to note that through the detour and even on campus, we are, again, making sure we're adhering to those road signs because everything that we have worked through with the township has been approved. And we expect things to be enforced by our police department as well, even if it's on our roads, because we have worked with the township, making sure that all of our signs, labeling, etc., are all up to code. A couple of questions that have been asked that we want to make sure that we provide, and as we get additional questions, we will certainly provide more information to our community. But again, this project is expected to last 5 to 6 weeks. It's supposed to start the week of October 17th, and the road, Church Street, will be closed from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. If anyone has any questions regarding the project in itself, the general detour, the closures, etc., those questions are to be directed to the Hempfield Water Authority. The information is on this slide, 717-898-8231. We can certainly answer questions about movement around our campus. However, we cannot answer questions around the project, updates on the project, et cetera. That all comes from the Water Authority. We've also had some questions about whether or not temporary lights would be set up on any part of the detour, particularly at Kaufman and Stony Battery. That answer is no. We have inquired about it. We've talked through that through the planning process, and there are currently no plans as part of this project to include any type of temporary lights on any part of the detours. In addition, there will also not be any road crews directing or assisting with traffic through the detours. So with that, I do want to thank all of you for joining. And just as a reminder, this project is scheduled to begin next week, the week of October 17th. Should you have any questions for the project, again, please, you will contact the Water Authority, and please adhere to all the signs and the traffic signs and all the detour information as you are traveling around our campus. As always, thanks for joining us and have a great day.